economic activities.
Thank you so much, Doctor, really, for making time to speak to us. We obviously had a lot that we wanted to engage you on, but we are understanding that they're about to start with the official program. So I hope that we can perhaps have another time to have this discussion, perhaps on another platform. But we're grateful that you made time to be here this morning.
Thank you very much, and I will appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Well, I was just engaging a political analyst, that is Dr. Lucas Matati Joshua, as we are sitting here ahead of the 26th Council of Traditional Leaders meeting, and we're expecting that meeting to be opened and officially addressed as a keynote address by Her Excellency Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, the President of our country. Now, the program will be directed by Dr. Wilhelmine Shivute. She is the Executive Director in the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development. We now cross over into the main hall.
We may be seated. Thank you. Your Excellency, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, President of the Republic of Namibia and the Commander-in-Chief of the Namibian Defense Force, Honorable Sankwasa James Sankwasa, Minister of Urban and Rural Development, esteemed Goab Emmanuel Garseb, Chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders, esteemed Onkwanirwa Philemon Shumbwa Nangolo, Vice Chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders, distinguished traditional leaders present here, Honorable Evelyn Nawases Tayele, Deputy Minister of Urban and Rural Development, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers, if any, present, Honorable Hofni Alugodhi Ipinge, Governor of Oshana Region, and any other governors here present, Honorable Andreas Utoni, Chairperson of Oshana Regional Council, and other honorable chairpersons of regional councils here present, Your Worship, Councillor Pavo Amwele, Mayor of Ondangwa, and any other mayor and chairpersons of local authority in attendance, honorable regional and local authority councillors in attendance, distinguished invited guests, men and women in uniform, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Wilhelmine Shivute, the Executive Director of the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development, and today I am your Director of Ceremonies for this event. Your Excellency, first and foremost, I wish to thank you very much for making time to be here. We are all aware of your very, very busy schedule, but we appreciate your presence here. There is an African proverb that is written by an unknown writer that says, and I quote, "A man who does not know where the rain began to beat him cannot tell when his body starts to dry." Meaning, without knowing your cultural roots or history, you cannot truly understand your present. It is for that reason that we are here today, because we do understand our tradition and culture. For that reason, may I welcome everybody here, and without wasting any time, I just mentioned that we are in Oshana Region, and when you come into somebody's house, I guess that person must welcome you first. For that reason, I wish to invite Honorable Hofni Aluwodi Ipinge to welcome us in his region. Honorable Governor.
Yes, thank you very much, Director of Proceedings. Before we start, can we maybe have a prayer? Or should we just start already doing our job? Can we maybe have a volunteer to pray for us? Is it too late?
Hello, good morning. Let's petition the Lord. Our Heavenly Father, we come before thy throne sinful as we are this morning, beseeching thy guidance in whatever we're going to discuss, whatever we're going to conclude. You have guided our forefathers. We still seek your guidance today in our deliberations. Make us understand why we are here and what we need to achieve. In the name of Jesus Christ we pray, amen.
Thank you very much, Honorable Samkwasa, James Samkwasa, for the wonderful prayer. Directors of Proceedings, Dr. Veremina Shivute, the Executive Director in the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development. Your Excellency, Dr. Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwa, President of the Republic of Namibia, Honorable Samkwasa, James Samkwasa, Minister of Urban and Rural Development, Member of Parliament and your Deputy, Memetaele here, Gaup Emmanuel Gassep, Chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders, Chief Dilimani Ipumbu, Chairperson of the 8th Northerner Traditional Authorities, Your Majesty, Philemon Shumbwanangolo, King of Ondangwa and our host for the 25th annual meeting of the Council of Traditional Leaders, esteemed member of the Council of Traditional Leaders, Honorable Andreas Utoni, Chairperson of Oshana Regional Council, Your Worship the Mayor of Ondangwa, Honorable Pava Amwele, and your deputy here, Honorable regional and local authority councillors present, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, good morning to you all. On behalf of the people of Oshana Region, it is with my singular honor and privilege to warmly welcome Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Namibia, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, to Oshana Region, and to extend the same warmth to all esteemed delegates gathered here for the 26th annual meeting of the Council of Traditional Leaders. We are deeply honored this historic gathering is hosted in Oshana this year. This platform reflects the enduring value of our tradition, or traditional leadership structures in preserving Namibia's cultural identity, strengthening governance at community level, and contributing to the development of our nation. Your Excellency, we in Oshana Region take great pride in being the host of this important occasion, which unites our traditional leaders, policymakers, and government under one roof to deliberate on matters that affect our communities and shape our collective future. I am equally pleased that this event is being hosted just a few weeks after I paid my courtesy call to the 3 traditional authorities in Oshana Region. During those visits, I was well briefed on the immediate challenges our traditional leaders are faced with. Allow me also to acknowledge with gratitude the presence of Honorable Minister of Urban and Rural Development, Honorable Sankwasa James Sankwasa, whose ministry plays a pivotal role in supporting traditional authorities and advancing rural development. Equally, I warmly welcome Gaub Emmanuel Gassep, Chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders, and all members of the Council for their continued guidance and unwavering commitment to safeguarding our traditions while embracing national development. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this annual meeting is a testament to the respect our country accords to traditional institutions and their indispensable role in peace building, unity, and socio-economic progress. May your deliberation during this session be fruitful and contribute meaningfully to the strengthening of our governance system and to the upliftment of our people. With these words, I once again welcome you all to Oshana Region, a region of resilience, unity, and opportunity. And I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Honorable Governor, and thank you for reminding us that we needed to pray first. We are talking about tradition. So, allow me, Your Excellency, to invite the Kamulu Adult Cultural Group to give us one traditional dance. Kamulu. Thank you. That is Kamulu. They are originally from Uvudia constituency. We apologize. We reckon that the place is very small, but kindly manage it. Thank you so much, Kamulu. I actually also wanted to join, but the space is just too small.
speakers are first for the interpreters.
Okay. I was equally requested to go on slow mode because apparently I am too fast when I speak in English. When I decide to go to Oshiwambo and Oshiherero and all other language, it's taking a little bit. So I will be a little bit slow, not because I want to delay the process, but simply to allow the translators to be able to translate so that we are all at the same page. Thank you very much for your attention, Your Excellency. We continue with the program, and with your permission, I wish to invite Goab Emmanuel, Gaub Emmanuel Gasseb, the chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders, and I promise by the end of the day, I should be able to pronounce all the titles.
Director of Ceremonies, Dr. Velemina Zivute, Executive Director in the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Namibia, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. Your Honorable Samkwasa James Samkwasa, Minister of Urban and Rural Development, esteemed Mkanilwa Philemon Shumba, Nangolo, Vice Chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders, distinguished traditional leaders, honorable ministers and deputy ministers in attendance, Honorable Hofni Olukoti Ipinge, Governor of Oshana Region and other governors present, Honorable Andreas Udoni, Chairperson of the Oshana Regional Council and other honorable chairpersons of the regional councils present, Your Worship, Councillor Mbavo Mwele, Mayor of the Ondangwa and any other mayors and chairpersons of local authorities in attendance, honorable regional and local authority councillors in attendance, distinguished invited guests, members of media, ladies and gentlemen. It is my profound honor as chairperson to be part of this auspicious occasion of the annual meeting of the Council of Traditional Leaders as we are gathered here in Okamati Guest House in Ondangwa, Oshana Region, to deliberate on issues of national importance and to collectively get our traditional institutions and ensure to fast. And institutions and ensuring the well-being of our communities. I have no slow down. It is my distinguished honor and privilege to extend a very special and heartfelt gratitude to Her Excellency Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, President of the Republic of Namibia, to grace this occasion. Your Excellency, we are deeply grateful for your presence at this gathering of the Council of Traditional Leaders. Your attendance demonstrates continued commitment to strengthen the partnership between government and our traditional institutions. We feel truly honored to host you today, and we look forward to your guidance as we deliberate on matters of great importance to our people and our nation. This meeting also marks the 26th annual meeting of the Council of Traditional Leaders since its establishment in 1997. Over the year, we have walked a long journey together, celebrating success, facing challenges, and remembering those who began this noble work but are no longer with us. Their legacy reminds us of our duty to lead with wisdom, unity, and integrity. Director of Proceedings. We once ensured our late President Dr. Hake Geingob during a meeting held in Oshana Region in Kobabes that our traditional leaders will no longer allow disputes over succession and chieftainships to burden the government and presidency. Your Excellency, President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, it is our responsibility as leaders to resolve conflicts within communities peacefully and in accordance with our devised customary laws. One may say that my statement is of state code nature, but as traditional leaders, we become the shadows of those who have ambitions to capitalize their interests in the name of traditional authority. We have many court cases in which our traditional leaders are being summoned to appear before the judge in the magistrate court. But most of these court cases are initiated by those who have good academic credentials to divide traditional leaders, and communities for their own interest. Director of Proceedings, esteemed members of the Council of Traditional Leaders, we are, however, aware of the many challenges confronting our society, raising unemployment, substance abuse, and the erosion of the values continue to fuel gender-based violence and instability among our youth. As custodians of tradition, we must call upon our sons and daughters to respect our customary norms and to use their academic and skills to strengthen good governance within traditional authorities rather than showing division. You are not going to school to divide the traditional leadership. As Namibia approaches the upcoming regional and local elections on the 27th of November 2025, I urge all traditional leaders to encourage our communities to participate actively in the democratic process. Let us ensure that campaigns are conducted peacefully, without intimidation or violence, and that our people exercise their right to vote in the spirit of unity. Only through such commitment can we continue to subjugate peace and stability in our beloved country. Director of Proceedings, esteemed members of the Council of Traditional Leaders, ladies and gentlemen, as we are approaching the festive season, I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Council of Traditional Leaders to wish each of you, your family and your communities a joyful Christmas and a prosperous New Year main decision bring peace, renew, strengthen, and unity as we continue to save our people and our beloved Namibia. In conclusion, allow me to once again extend our heartfelt gratitude to Her Excellency Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah for gracing this occasion with her presence. On behalf of the Council of Traditional Leaders, I wish you good health, wisdom, and success as you continue to lead our nation with dedication and vision. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I wish to quote another African proverb that says, and I quote, "When the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind," meaning strong cultural values protect individuals and communities from being shaken by external influences. I think we see that. Your Excellency, allow me to invite a performance by Haiteta Nandadi, a cultural group from Okatana constituency. Haiteta, you have the floor. Thank you very much, Haiteta Nandadi. I think if I was their age, I was going to challenge them. But in my vernacular, it says, Ombaza nayo ya jongobe. Your Excellency, allow me to invite the Honorable Minister of Urban and Rural Development, Honorable Sankwasa, James Sankwasa, to welcome us proper and to also introduce the keynote speaker, Honorable Sankwasa.
It was vertically challenging. Director of Ceremonies, Proceedings, Dr. Romina Shivute, the Executive Director of the Ministry, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Namibia, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, esteemed Gaob Emmanuel, Chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders, esteemed Mukwanirwa Philemon Shumbwa Nangolo, Vice Chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders, Dr. and Professor Joseph Disho, who is amongst us today, a distinguished academician of this country, who happens to share his name with my late father. Dr. Smasiku Boniface Mutumba, the Special Advisor to the Minister of Urban and Rural Development, distinguished traditional leaders, honorable ministers and deputy ministers here present, honorable regional local authority councillors in attendance, distinguished invited guests and members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great honor and admiration to stand before you this morning on this occasion of the 26th annual meeting of the Council of Traditional Leaders. This gathering is certainly a testament to our commitment to preserving our cultural heritage. Law does not conflict with this Constitution or any other statutory law, and secondly, that subject to the terms of this Constitution, any part of such common law or customary law may be repealed or modified by the Act of Parliament, and the application thereof may be confined to particular parts of Namibia or particular periods. The concept customary law and common law of Namibia in force on the date of independence shall remain entails that customary law practice, or which should be practice, existed and was respected long before the independence of Namibia and before the ushering of the Constitution into force. So Article 66 further goes on to state that any part of such common law may be repealed or modified by an Act of Parliament so that it becomes suitable for usage by those who have to practice it. On this basis, Parliament enacted the Traditional Authorities Act 25 of 2000, whose sole purpose is to provide for the establishment of traditional authorities and the designation, election, appointment, and recognition of traditional leaders, to define the powers, duties, and functions of traditional authorities and traditional leaders, to provide for matters incidental thereof. That's the purpose of this law. This act did not repeal, but helped to entrench and codify our customary and common law. The new act replaced the old Traditional Authority Act of 1997. On this basis, each community or tribe in Namibia is free to exercise its own traditional, customary, and common law in recognition of our cultural diversity and identity by providing for the role which traditional authorities have to play to support the government in fostering unity, peace, and development in the country. The major function and duty of traditional leadership should be as provided for in Section 3(1) of the Traditional Authorities Act of 2000, stating that subject to Section 16, the functions of traditional authorities, I hope I'm not too fast, the function of traditional authorities in relation to the traditional community which it leads shall be to promote peace and welfare amongst the members of that community, supervise and ensure the observance of the customary law of that community by its members. I want to repeat this. The major role of the traditional authority and traditional leaders is to promote peace and welfare among the members of that community, to supervise and ensure the observance of the customary law of that community by its members. I underline that. Given the proliferation and the ever-increasing demand for the establishment of new traditional authorities and the application for recognition of new chiefs or traditional leaders, are we ensuring the observance and the respect of our customs, traditions, and culture, which guided us as black people for all these centuries? Section 4(1), which deals with the designation of chief or head of traditional community, states, and I quote, subject to Section 5 and 6, members of a traditional community who are authorized thereto by the customary law of that community, not those who are not authorized, this is my own emphasis, those that are authorized by the custom and tradition of that community, may designate in accordance with that law one person from the royal family of that traditional community who shall be instituted as the chief or head, as the case may be, of that traditional community. And if such a community has no royal family, any member of that traditional community who shall be instituted as the head of that traditional community, how does that person qualify for designation, therefore? That's a fundamental question. The qualification for designation and tenure of office, removal from, and succession to the office of chief or head of a traditional community shall be regulated by the customary law of the traditional community, in respect of which such chief or head of a traditional community is designated. Therefore, the nomination, designation, and the removal of a chief or head of a given community should strictly be done in accordance with the customary law of the said traditional community in Namibia. However, we now encounter situations where individuals seek recognition beyond the parameters of their existing customary law, tradition, and cultural norms. Who is behind these divisive tactics intended for disunity and the destabilization of the country? I'm coming to this question because if you look at those people that grant to the high courts of Namibia, they are relatively not rich. They are poor like me. But they are prepared to pay hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Namibia dollars to the court to get chieftainship, but they cannot even afford to buy a decent life for themselves. So who is the sponsor of this disunity? Because someone is sponsoring them. On their own, they are too poor to do that. As Africans, we have our own norms, culture, values, and tradition of how chiefs are identified and designated, which were already in place before Europeans or white people came to Africa. Chiefs are not elected because they are by blood in that line of inheritance. The moment you move to election, you are not different from a politician. Because now you are saying democracy. And this modern Dutch law is creating more confusion, more disunity among the people that are expected to be united. Why are we throwing our culture and custom through the window just for the benefit of a few dollars? But why? I was forced to borrow from the High Court case of the Supreme Court of Namibia in the case of vet boy and others versus vet boy. You can get that case. It's a vet boy versus vet boy. One family. Which the High Court heard in November 2023. And I quote what Judge Makarau observed in that case. In my view, I'm quoting verbatim, in my view, it's most undesirable that matters of succession to the leadership of any traditional community under the customary law of that traditional community be resolved by the courts. It's undesirable. Such matters are more amenable to resolution by the communities concerned, adopting and employing the traditional mediatory and the conciliatory practice of dispute resolution. Such conciliatory practices seek, in the main, to heal and narrow the divisions in the community rather than to tear the community further apart, as does the formal judgment of the court, which by its very nature must be in favor of one of the parties and against the other. Invariably, decisions of the court in such matters tend to turn on technical points, taken at adjectival law, and seldom deal with the substantive customary law issues arising. I want to repeat. The High Court does not look at the substantiveness of the issue, but looks at the technical part of the issue, which is irrelevant in most cases to our existing cultures. I therefore urge all traditional authorities that are in dispute to stick to the African traditions and your customary law to nominate and designate your chief. In addition to the Traditional Authorities Act, read with Article 102 of the Constitution, Parliament enacted the Council of Traditional Leaders Act 1997, which has enabled us to be present here today. But I want to state here that there is a composition of the traditional leaders of the members of this council. But I want to state that given the anomalies that it keeps erupting, this, I hope, chairpersons of this council will remain the last council that will accommodate traditional authorities that are in dispute. Because if they fail to resolve their dispute there is nothing they're going to contribute in this council. So first, before you attend and become a member of this Council of Traditional Leaders, resolve your chieftainship dispute in terms of your custom and tradition. I want to repeat, this will be the last one which will be attended by councillors which from a traditional authority without a chief. Because the act is quite clear that a particular chief of a given community has got functions that he or she must execute. Now, when you take so many years without a chief, who is executing those functions? Who is taking care of the land? Who is taking care of the custodian of that culture and custom? So I hope this should be the last meeting, I want to repeat, which will be attended by people who are failing to recognize and designate a chief. Director of Proceedings, esteemed traditional leaders, as we gather here today, we acknowledge the pivotal role that traditional leadership plays in our society. Our traditional leaders are imperative because they provide local governance rooted in customary law, manage communal resources such as land, resolve disputes through traditional courts and procedures. Your influence as traditional leaders stems from the deep connection with people and the digital knowledge systems, making our traditional leaders vital for the maintaining of social stability, fostering sustainable development, and ensuring access to justice and services in rural areas. The government is well aware of the multiple challenges faced by traditional leaders, including land management in communal areas, where land that is communal is being marketed and sold like a piece of cake in some rural areas. Chieftainship succession disputes are continuing. Applications for new recognition are being received in my office, And you find instances where people apply for recognition within a jurisdiction of another chief's area. What are you trying to achieve? There was already a chief in that area, but you want to apply to be recognized in that area. You speak the same language, you reside in the same area, you have the same culture, same tradition, but you want to be separate from the rest. That cannot be continued with. Because Namibia requires unity, not destabilization. The chief or head of a community is conferred with various powers and duties in terms of the law. One of such powers is the custodian of customary law and required to exercise powers and performance duties in accordance with that customary law. However, for the past months I've served as the Minister of Urban Rural Development, I've observed that some of our traditional authorities have been embroiled in chieftainship succession for a long, long time. Given the first stated, the question that we need to ask ourselves is that, in the absence of a chief or head, who is performing the duties of the chief? Quite a few years ago, I don't know whether I didn't witness it, but I witnessed when Queen Elizabeth died, the smooth transition that occurred from Queen Elizabeth to King George. It was smooth. It was even done before the burial of the Queen. There were no disputes. But these are the people that are teaching us that democracy must work. How do you marry democracy with custom and tradition? Are we saying, therefore, our tradition and customs are not democratic? Because the same thing that happens in Europe happens in Africa and happens in Namibia. That a reigning chief usually nominates and appoints a successor before he or she dies. And this person gets introduced to the members of the community. But once he's dead, some people that were never nominated, they run to the stage and say, we also want to be a chief. Why do we continue violating our tradition? Why do we continue eroding our culture? Where are we going to? Let's critically ask. Like I asked at one meeting, even how many chiefs did the Hereros have, did the Namas have when the Germans entered in Southwest Africa? How many Herero chiefs were there? How many Nama chiefs were there? Equally, we can ask in all these other spheres. At independence in Namibia, how many traditional authorities were in Southwest Africa? Versus how many are there now? And what is the reason that we have all this mushrooming, chieftainship? And I'm sure that the government can sustain this with this little allowance. It cannot. I've gone around to listen to disputes. I've asked a simple question. Are you happy that the particular community has no chief for all these years? The answer always gets, we are not happy. Now, if you are not happy, why do you continue doing something that makes you unhappy? Why? Because if you are not happy, you must seek for happiness. And the second question I ask is, in terms of your tradition, which one is the line of inheritance? Is it paternal? Is it maternal? You may find that those that come from the tradition that says it's maternal, they nominate. But the that from the maternal side, they also claim to say they want to jump there. Why do we do things like that? As I conclude my remarks, it's with immense pride and a historic milestone to introduce the main speaker of our gathering today, who is a mother, and the mothers are the custodian of peace in every home. As men, sometimes we run and say, I'm the owner of the house, we don't own homes as men. Let's accept it. Homes belong to the mothers. Both the father and the kids are staying with one person. They are all a responsibility of one person in that house. So we have a mother in the house who happened to be the first female president in the Republic of Namibia. And we have proved as Namibians to Africa and the world that women, as identified in the Bible, can lead a nation. She's a leader who embodies courage, resilience, and a lifelong dedication to the people of Namibia. A true daughter of the soil, a former freedom fighter, and a testament to the progress we have made. She ascended to the highest office, not just as a leader, but as a symbol of hope, opportunity for every Namibian child and Namibian adult. She is a staunch advocate for the rights and voices of traditional leaders, and recognizes the irreplaceable role traditional leaders play in our democracy and our local governance structures. As we look forward to hearing her insights today, let us keep in mind the vision of a united traditional leadership, where the contribution of every traditional community are acknowledged and valued, to lead to the proper development, unity, and a stabilized economy in Namibia. It's through collective action and the cooperation that we can build a brighter future of our communities. Please join me in welcoming to the podium, with the utmost respect and admiration, the first female president of the Republic, Her Excellency, Nandi Ndaitwah. I thank you all.
Please be seated. Thank you, Honorable Sankwasa, James Sankwasa, Minister of Urban and Rural Development, for giving me the floor, and also to recognize our Director of Ceremonies, Dr. Shivute, the Executive Director, Minister of Urban and Rural Development, Honorable Evelina Nawasebs Taele, our Deputy Minister of Urban and Rural Development, Honorable Members of Parliament present here, esteemed Gab Emmanuel Gassep, Chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders, esteemed Onkwanirwa Philemon Shumbwa Nangolo, Vice Chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders, and all our distinguished traditional leaders present, Honorable Hofen Ipinge, Governor for Oshana Region, and other governors present here, Honorable Andreas Utoni, Chairperson of Oshana Regional Council, and other Chairperson of Regional Council present and Regional Councillors, Your Worship, Pava Amwelo, Mayor of Ondangwa, and all the mayors present, as well as our Deputy Mayor, Mweneni Awala, of Ondangwa Town, the Chief Executive Officer of Ondangwa Town, all local authority councillors present. I have also to recognize the special advisor to the minister, and congratulations on your appointment, and to welcome our learned Dr. Professor Disho, welcome home, distinguished invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. I wholeheartedly welcome the kind invitation I received from the Council of Traditional Leaders to officially open the 26th anniversary meeting of the Council of Traditional Leaders that is taking place here in Ondangwa, Oshana Region. As this is my first time to address the Council, in my capacity as the President of the Republic of Namibia, I extend my warmest greetings to all our traditional leaders and delegates to this meeting with a deep sense of humility and great respect, and to sincerely thank all our traditional leaders for the coordination between the traditional leaders and our government, and I'm looking forward for this coordination to continue to be strengthened in the best interest of our people. In the same vein, I commend the organizers for ensuring the traditional leaders from across the length and the breadth of our country are here to discuss pertinent issues that impact the socio-cultural development of our traditional communities and Namibia at large. I was so happy to meet all of you yesterday at the dinner, and that has really strengthened me to see the attendance to this meeting. And this is a commitment that we are always looking from our leaders. Director of Ceremonies, I take this opportunity to congratulate the Minister. I was trying to get the right address here of Masubia, it's written Chief. Mwitenge Muhongo Mutwa of the Masubia Traditional Authority and Homba Agnes Shombe of the Ukwangali Traditional Authorities, who were recently installed as traditional leaders of their respected traditional authorities, and they are attending this council meeting for the first time in their new capacities. Congratulations. I have really to congratulate our Minister of Urban and Rural Development, because I have been hearing the trauma and the difficulties these communities went through in fighting to have their traditional leaders installed. And within a week or two, when the 8th administration took over, this traditional authority today are celebrating, united in one. And this is what makes me more happy. So, while welcoming you to this esteemed body of wise men and women, I remind you that your work has been ringing behind, and your communities have been dragged into succession dispute for a very long time, and such conflicts are by nature divisive. Therefore, I appeal to you to act swiftly and spare no efforts in uniting your communities, because it's only through unity that we can collectively achieve the bolder socio-economic plans we have set for ourselves as a nation. Director of Ceremonies, on this occasion, we reflect on the life of our esteemed leader, the late Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma, founding president and father of the Namibian nation, a strong supporter of traditional and cultural norms, who passed on the 8th February 2025, as well as the leaders of traditional communities, who also passed on during the course of this year. I remember Chief Chimgare Thomas of Vita Traditional Authority, Chief Joseph Max Harsep of the Gaudama Traditional Authority, Chief Daniel Ashoya of the Ukwaludi Traditional Authority, and Senior Traditional Councillor Garrison Kamutundu Kachira of Ovambandelo Traditional Authority during the same period. I have also noted the passing of the former advisor to the Minister of Urban and Rural Development, Mr. Philip Karipu Chiriche, who played a significant advisory role in traditional affairs. I respectfully request that we rise and observe a minute of silence in remembering these traditional leaders who have really made a significant contribution to the preservance of our cultures and tradition. May their souls rest in eternal peace. I don't know what I said, but I'm having here Chief Daniel Shoya of Ukoronkadi Traditional Authority. Please be seated. Director of Ceremonies, when I took the oath of office on the 21st of March 2025, I vowed to be the president of all Namibians and to lead our nation with integrity and accountability. Likewise, I implore you, our traditional leaders, to lead by example, to promote dialogue, transparency, accountability, rule of law, and to ensure that we succeed in our collective fight, particularly against corruption in every sector of our governance, including in our respective traditional authorities and communities. I have said it before, and I will say it again, that corruption is like cancer that eats into the very fiber of our society, leading to misallocation of resources and thereby deepening social inequality, societal inequality, increasing poverty and unemployment. Corruption could also occur when communal lands under the custodian of traditional authorities is sold to the highest bidder. This has never been part of our culture, and it should never be part of our culture. If these practices are carried out in your areas of jurisdiction, whereby you deny your less privileged subject a piece of land to live on and practice their farming to feed their families, that practice is to be brought to an end. You had heard me saying that it's no longer business as usual. And this also applies to traditional leaders. We all have a responsibility to deliver quality service to our people within our respective areas of responsibility. As a president, I have a responsibility all over Namibia and all Namibians. I will not be able to do everything on my own, but I will rely on different structures of our governance, including the traditional authorities. Join hands with the government to foster unity of purpose. And please familiarize yourselves with the policies and programs aimed at creating jobs for our young people, which aims to bring tangible socio-economic development to your communities through proper land management as you work on behalf of the government in this unitary state of ours. I commit myself to say I must do everything possible in my power to feed the Namibian nation. And I cannot feed that nation if our land is not well managed. And we agree that to date, the majority of our citizens, they are living in rural areas. I have been saying it very clear that given a responsibility to lead this country, I would like to see us changing our developmental plans, whereby we have to identify the economic strength of every region of Namibia and focus on that particular strength. I have been also saying we must develop production centers and then have processing centers. It is my wish, it's my plan that every region must have a processing center, in other words, an industry. It does not matter how small it is, but as long as we start and we work together as a government and the traditional authority, I'm convinced deep in my mind that it's all possible. I therefore call upon all our traditional leaders to support the government in the implementation of the 6th National Development Plan to achieve our development objective as stated in Vision 2030. I must be very clear. We might be behind with some of the targets we have set ourselves when, under the leadership of our founding president, we were developing Vision 2030. However, if we work hard, we could make some good progress in some of the critical areas that we require to address in ensuring that we have taken our people out of poverty. Our business is to find sustainable solutions to contribute to the improving the quality of life of our people, and we are called to serve them. Esteemed traditional leaders, one of the most significant challenges facing the nation today is the persistent rise in the unemployment rate, particularly among young people. According to the Namibian Statistics Agency, the youth unemployment rate is at 44.4%, which is unacceptably high. Therefore, in our efforts to find solutions to the unemployment situation, I need you to identify viable and legitimate endowments, competitive advantage, and opportunities in each of your localities. Let us utilize communal land as a form of capital that supports investment in community development and job creation. Last night at the dinner, I informed you that I was preparing myself to participate in one of the international engagements. And one thing I called on, as I was asked to focus on private-public partnership, one of the issues I emphasize on is the financial institutions that are reluctant to support agricultural activities. And I called upon the financial institution, as the event was organized by international banks, that in fighting climate change, they should not forget to support agriculture with particular reference to smart agriculture. In so doing, we will be able to address the challenges we are facing. Director of Ceremonies, pursuant to Article 1025 of the Namibian Constitution and Section 2A of the Council of Traditional Leaders Act, the Council has an important responsibility of advising the President on the control and the utilization of communal land in the country. In relation to the offset mentioned, when the government needs communal land for development, there should be no discussion. There should be no negotiation. Let the land be made available. It's the only capital we have that we can rely on in order to address the challenges we are all faced. I therefore commend traditional leaders for availing land to the government and the private sector to establish green schemes, farms, and other agricultural initiatives by the private sector. For example, grapes, blueberries, and among others. Recently, Homba Sophia Munjebe Kanyetu Afsamzu, my daughter, has made available land to government for the establishment of a watermelon and fruit processing facility. Is going to be used. I'm also aware of land that has been allocated, especially in Zambezi region, by the traditional authorities, as well as in Kavango, which has not been utilized for years. I assure you that those land should be made to productive soon. I have recently visited the green schemes farms in Zambezi, Kavango East, Kavango West, and Omsati region. I am happy with the progress I have seen in some of this green scheme. If I have to compare, when I visited the same green schemes last year, Last year, I came back very disappointed. And this time around, I came back at least more encouraged. As the progress I have seen and the motivation in the faces and the words of the people in those green schemes was really encouraging. In some of the green schemes, they even promised me that if I go back next year and I have to, I'm going to be even more happy. To the extent that in some of the green schemes, they say I'm not going to find any land which is supposed to be put under production, which is not under production. And this is what Namibia should be. So therefore, I have to say, much still remains to be done if we are really to serve our people to the best of our ability. Director of Ceremonies, the 8th administration under my presidency is determined to unlock the full agricultural potential of Namibia and position our green schemes as models of excellency in sustainable development. Together, we can transform green schemes into engine of food security and create sustainable jobs for our young people. And I'll underline, we need our traditional leaders because these green schemes are within the territories under your responsibilities. Director of Ceremony, I am very much disturbed by the never-ending infighting and leadership succession dispute that continue to prevail in our communities across the country, to the extent that the integrity of our traditional authority is on the way to be seriously questioned by the nation, by our subjects. As I'm speaking now, I am informed out of 53 recognized traditional authorities, 16 traditional authorities are without leadership due to succession dispute. The minister, in his statement, elaborated on this. And I will emphasize it because it's very, very disturbing. Our founding president taught us a nation without a culture is not a nation. Now, if we are diverting from our culture, if there are problems in our society, we have to ask ourselves, where are they coming from? And regrettably, because of this dispute, the government is drawn into the midst of these avoidable disputes, which are not only causing division among our communities, but also consuming necessary resources that could be better allocated to matters of priorities, such as war against poverty and disease. Even the minutes the minister spent here talking about it, and the minutes I'm now spending, we could have discussed something better. And remember, these minutes are the resources of the Namibian people. I'm standing here on the ticket of Namibian people, and every minute I'm using, Namibian people have paid for that minute. I could have advised you on better things, but now we are talking about this avoidable situation. Such a dispute undermines community unity, eroding moral and cultural values that can lead to loss of cultural identity. Will lead to loss of cultural identity. Customary laws that govern succession should be understood, respected, and complied with. I appeal to all traditional authorities to intentionally seek to resolve all disputes and install your rightful leaders as a matter of great importance and agency in using our cultural laws, our traditional laws. You cannot continue to deny your subject the necessary services that could be driven from a proper traditional governance system. Unless we are saying there is no need of traditional authority in those communities. If they can be run for many years without a leader, as a president, you are telling me there is no need of a traditional leadership in that communities. And they can fall under the central government, the municipal government, the regional government. We cannot hold our people hostage, saying that we are solving the problem that is not being solved. It is so sad. It's so sad. Foregoing the traditional solutions and taking those disputes to modern day courts, which are based on a mix of cultural brackets. I think the professors here agree that the Dutch law we are using is a mix of different cultures, because nothing has came from heaven. Everything came through cultural brackets. They erode the traditional values and norms of our society. It is in this context that we have established community courts to bring justice closer to the people by resolving disputes under customary laws. Those courts uphold traditional and community values, providing a platform for accessible conflict resolution and allowing cultures to be preserved. Given this background, I am happy to inform you, our traditional leaders, that last Friday, the 5th September 2025, the Right Honorable Prime Minister has handed over 8 vehicles to the community courts in Kambazembe, Maharero, Ondangwa, Okwanyama, Ovambarantu, Ukoronkadi, and Okwambi, at a ceremony that was held here in Ongwediva. Our plan is that moving forward, all traditional courts will be empowered. They will be given vehicles to enable them to execute their responsibilities without any hindrance. So therefore, the government will continue to budget for those vehicles until all the traditional courts are covered. Director of Ceremony, another issue of concern, new applications for the recognition of new traditional authorities are still being received uncontrollable. This is a situation, if not arrested, might not only become financially unsustainable, but also lead to further tribal divisions within the Namibian House. If I have to quote the words of our third president, Dr. Hage Godfrey Geingob. Although as a traditionalist myself, I respect the traditional authorities, but we cannot have a country fragmented in pockets of tribal or even family settlements. I think what is happening now, we are moving to family settlement. It's like every family wants to have their traditional leader. Very soon you will hear Nkwanangope clans, they want their traditional leader. That will not be accepted. I'm very sorry, my dear traditional leaders. Do we perhaps want to change our democracy into a monarchy, very small monarchies? I have taken an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Namibia. And I will not allow that to happen under my watch. We should really be more Namibians than our tribes. Some people are blaming the government that we are the culprit when we are giving allowances to traditional leaders. That now being a traditional leader has become a job rather than a service to the community. I'll be watching that. I'll be watching that, and I'm sure together we will understand one another. Director of Ceremonies, members of the Council of Traditional Leaders, I stand before you today as your leader with a heavy heart to address a grave challenge that has profoundly affected our nation, the ever-rising wave of suicide, particularly among men, young men for that matter. In 2023-2024 alone, 542 lives were lost due to suicide. 1 year. Can you imagine? And we know as a country that topping the list, we are now topping the list of suicide in Africa, Namibia. It really, really, really worries me what is happening in our community. That's not a record to be associated with. Over the past 3 or 4 weeks, we have lost over 10 lives by suicide. This is not just a statistics. It represents precious lives lost, broken families left behind, and a nation at pain. As traditional leaders, your wisdom, influence, and close connection to the community are vital in helping the government understand the root cause and develop practical solutions. I want to repeat this. As traditional leaders, your wisdom, influence, and close connection to the communities are vital in helping the government understand the root cause and develop practical solutions. The situation really needs sober mind. We can blame one another, but blame does not solve a problem. Let us all do personal and community introspective to see whether we cannot find a solution. We can talk about unemployment, but the majority of these people are employed. We can talk about poverty. Some of these people are not really living in the poverty, in the sense word of poverty. Therefore, together we can provide support, raise awareness, save lives, and ensure a well-being of all Namibians. Director of Ceremonies, as I come to the conclusion, the Council of Traditional Leaders is a custodian of our culture, and culture does not discriminate. It does not humiliate, nor does it promote unlawfulness. Therefore, the Council of Traditional Leaders must promote and safeguard the cultural practices and traditions that have been held our people together over many centuries. It is thus true that, once again, as our founding president used to say and remind us, a nation without a culture is like a tree that has no roots. When a tree has no roots, it will fall. Europeans, Americans, they have their cultures, and they respected them in the modern world. Sometimes when we talk about our cultures, we think of superstitions. I had a friend from a friendly European country who came to visit me, and as the friend was leaving, I gave my hand to shake hand. I was inside, the friend was outside. He jumped in quickly, and I said, "Did you forget something?" He said, "No, in my culture we don't shake hands when one is inside, one is outside." It's from one of the superpower countries, if you like. So a nation without a culture is not a culture. If I say, "Don't pour a glass while I'm holding it," you think I'm superstitious. But because that European is saying it, it looks to be a good thing. A nation without culture is like a tree without roots. Culture keeps us grounded and protects us from unwanted traditions that are foreign to us. Let us live it. Let us strengthen it. Let us teach our children and their children's children about it. A European child does not sleep without the parents reading a story to that child. But do we still sit around the fire, or even in the conventional houses we have, and tell our children stories? I wonder if we do it. Because of the time, I might be one of the culprits. Let us preserve our culture. Therefore, as I conclude, I would like to inform the Council of Traditional Leaders that the government continue to value the important role of traditional authorities in Namibia as enshrined in the Namibian Constitution. I wish the Council of Traditional Leaders cordial, productive deliberation. And I look forward to see the final documents that you are going to come up with, which I believe will be talking to our national developmental agenda, which is known to all of us. NDP 6 is the tool that we have to use until 2029. Honorable Minister, Deputy Ministers, the Chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders, the Deputy, I also to recognize Tate Kulipumbu, the Chair of the 8th Traditional Leaders in this area, and all traditional leaders present. It's now my singular honor and privilege to declare the 26th annual meeting of the Council of Traditional Leaders in Namibia officially open. And thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We may be seated. Thank you once more, Madam President. The message was loud and clear. Before we proceed with our program, with the permission of our President, we wish to request a performance by the Namibian Navy Brass Band. Brass Band, you have the floor. Thank you very much, Brass Band. We are about to come to the end of our program. Your Excellency, before that, allow me to invite His Worship Councillor Pavo Amwele, Mayor of Ondangwa Town, to give us a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Director of our proceeding, Dr. Shivute. Mine is very short. It's just to give thanks. Your Excellency, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, President of the Republic of Namibia, Honorable Kwasa James Sangwasa, Minister of Urban and Rural Development, and your Deputy Tayele, the Chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders, Gaup Emmanuel Gassep, Tate Ongpanira Washitunda Shetu Shandonga, Tate Kuru Filemon Shumba Nangoro, na kwaniwa ya Mweitunda, Monamibia, Noshowo Omalenga Omanene. Honorable Minister and the Member of Parliament present, Honorable Governor Hofeni Pinge, Governor of Oshana Region, Professor Ndishu. I see you the first time. Thank you for that. Esteemed Council for Regional and Local Authority present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is both an honor and a privilege to deliver this vote of thanks on behalf of all gathered here, and indeed on behalf of the community we represent. Today's gathering has been a remarkable statement to the strength, unity, and the value of our traditional leadership structure in Namibia, as well as our government commitment to support its people. This council remains a cornerstone in upholding the identity, culture, and the governance of our community. And for that, we are forever grateful. Allow me to begin by extending our deepest gratitude and appreciation to Her Excellency, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, not only for gracing this occasion with her distinguished presence, but for her continuous leadership to work hand in hand for the prosperity and the peace of our people. A heartfelt thank you also goes to Gaup Emmanuel Gassep, Chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders. Say, under your leadership, this council continues to grow in strength and reverence and impact. Your stewardship ensures that the voice of our traditional authority remains central in shaping national development and safeguarding cultural heritage. We commend you for your tireless service and exemplary leadership. To all the esteemed traditional leaders present, thank you for your active participation your wisdom, and your resolve to preserve and promote the value that make our community strong and comprehensive. Your presence here today underscore the unity and the essence of our diverse Namibia heritage. Let me also thank the organizer, support staff, security service, and all who work behind the scene to ensure the success of this important event. Your efforts do not go unnoticed, and we thank you very much. In closing, may we all leave this council renewed in spirit, united in purpose, and committed to working together, all of us, as a traditional leader and elected leadership for the betterment of our nation and the future generation. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Councillor and Mayor of Ondangwa, Ashinime Chivura. Next on our program, Your Excellency, we are going to break for lunch. First, there will be a photo session, and thereafter we break for lunch. In our program, there is a singing of AU and National Anthem. Our meeting was just opened by His Excellency. That part we will do on Friday when we conclude the meeting. I will need protocol to lead us as to how do we proceed to the photo session. I have been advised we all rise for Her Excellency to first proceed. Then after that, we will all then follow. Your Excellency, ma'am.
Thank you very much to the Director of Ceremony, that is Dr. Wilhelmine Shivute, who is the Executive Director in the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development. Well, viewers, we just witnessed the opening ceremony of the annual meeting of the Council of Traditional Leaders, as it was officially opened by President Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah as she delivered her maiden keynote address at this meeting. This was the 26th version of this gathering, but I'm still here accompanied by our analyst, that is Dr. Lucas Mutati Joshua, who has been following the proceedings of this event with me. Dr. Joshua, thank you so much for staying with us during this program. What do you make of the opening ceremony, briefly?
Thank you very much. A quick reflection on the activities that have taken place in the opening session is that the setting has been set alive, starting from the welcoming remarks by the Honorable Governor. And then the Honorable Minister came in, and then towards the end, then the President came in firmly to highlight on some of the pitfalls and opportunities that are there in this cordial relationship between leaders of traditional authorities as well as the government. So that's what I can say for now. Unless you have something specific that you might want me to zoom into.
Well, of course, I'd like to specifically reference some of the speeches that we heard this morning. There's unity in the speeches. You can see some of the issues being repeated by the various speakers. Let's start with what the President said. She noted with concern that out of the 53 recognized traditional authorities, 16 of those traditional authorities today are still without leadership due to the traditional disputes. Something that was also greatly emphasized by the Minister of Urban and Rural Development, James Sankwasa. So what is the issue here really? And the President also said, is it perhaps that these traditional authorities can manage without leadership? Is there a need for traditional authorities even?
In a nutshell, that is what is likely to be, that a traditional authority seems to function without leaders. However, I think that is just an oversight. What seems to be happening is the question of financial benefit that comes in taking leadership into traditional authority. So from the look of things, it seems people want to use this, and it was alluded to by one of the speakers, that they seem to be taking this as employment. And that should not really be the case. What should be the purpose of this traditional leader is really to to promote cohesion, and also to enable members of their communities to live harmoniously.
Looking at the Minister of Urban and Rural Development, James Sankwasa, he was very stern in his address also, instructing that those traditional authorities who do not have chiefs should not be allowed to attend this annual meeting. What do you make of this instruction? Is it harsh, or is it it's a decision well in its right?
It might be taken harsh by some. However, the kind of questions that he have asked, I think, need to be dissected with a clear understanding that how can you be not happy when you don't have traditional leaders, yet you continue with disputes, some of which that are being resolved in Eurocentric courts. And I think he is right to say that as traditional authorities, we need to resort to the traditional way on how people should ascend to positions of leadership.
Traditional authorities, Doctor, are described as a bridge between government and communities. Do you think they are delivering this role effectively, those that do have leaders and are active today?
Yes, I think those that are active, they are doing what they ought to do to bridge that cordial relationship between government and their communities. However, it's only sad that in cases where you have traditional authorities that don't have leaders, one wonders if the members of community are getting the utmost benefit that is created by this statutory structure of having a council of traditional leaders.
Another address that I noted from is that of Gab Emmanuel Kaseb, who is the chairperson of the Council of Traditional Leaders. Now, he emphasized that education should not divide traditional leaders, and traditional leaders should be respected. Is education a threat to traditional authorities and to traditional practices?
Maybe we need to rephrase the question on the basis as to what is education. Traditional practices themselves are educational.
Yes.
And probably it's the modern education that is bringing about some of these disputes. So we need to introspect and relook at the definition of what education is. However, there seem to be the technocrats that are educated in a Western-centric kind of education that seems to be becoming part of the bone of contentions when there are disputes. So we need to get back to ourselves and recognize the ways and manners in which we have been resolving communal issues in our traditional local settings.
There was also a call for unity from the various speakers this morning, Doctor, especially with the issue of tribalism. We have a recent case that we witnessed a couple of weeks ago at Bersaba being an example. So what role can traditional authorities play in curbing tribalism?
Yes, what I can say about the Bersaba incident, it's a very unfortunate one. However, we need to reflect with the really hearts that should lead to the better way of living with each other. Tribalism in its own nature is a very dangerous thing. And I think this should not be for traditional authority alone. It's for a person like you and I who should zoom into this and take critical reflection. There has been incidents that are known globally, and I can cite some of them. One of it, not long ago, 1994, in Rwanda, where only just 100 days, close to 1 million people lives were lost, destruction to facilities and properties, and also 10 years conflict, tribal conflict in Yugoslav war that have led to the Serbs, the Croats, the Albanians, and that statistics have shown that about 130 people have lost their lives, and we have seen over television and then print media the destruction that came as a result of tribal differences. Tribalism should not have space anywhere in our settings, in Namibia, in Africa, in the world. So we need to work and promote harmony among different members of tribes and to live in unity despite them coming from diverse tribal backgrounds and communities.
A meeting of this kind brings about cohesion between the various traditional authorities. So are traditional authorities working together outside this meeting? Do we see that type of cohesion?
There has always been a good working relationship among traditional authorities. And what we need to do as contemporary citizens is rather to continue promoting and strengthening this harmonious relationship that has existed. So what I can say, yes, that is there, but it seems in a contemporary VUCA world, the world that is volatile, uncertain, complex and anxious, we seem to be controlled by the information that is coming from elsewhere. And I think the minister have alluded to this, that it seems those that are at the center of some of these tribal disputes, in terms of providing finances, when he had made an example of people that he said some of the people that are in courts are as poor as you and I, and yet they have the money to take their traditional authorities to courts.
When we look at the traditional authorities, they are, representing region, or they are supposed to be also a voice towards the regional government and the central government. But I want us to look at the aspect of governance in the region specifically. When we also look back at the president's speech, she emphasized that she would want to see development of industries in specific regions. So what role do governors, or rather what is the existing relationship between governors and traditional authorities, and how should it be improved?
Yes, what I can say about this, maybe I should take a quick zoom into the opening address of the Oshana Region Governor, yes, Honorable Hofni Ipinge. He had indicated to the audience that he paid 3 visits or visits to 3 different traditional authorities in an effort to keep that continuous relationship that has always been in existence. So we, as people from the traditional authorities, be it leaders and the leaders from the political sphere, they need to work together, because there are things that you will not be able to do if you are not sitting on the same table with a clear demarcation of boundaries as to who should do what. So there has been previously incidents that were reported of, be it there's a coalition between government leaders and traditional authorities, and this rob the citizens the developments that ought to have been established in their localities.
Yeah. I want to take us back to a conversation we had earlier on modern education. Perhaps I'd like to use the word modernization here, but bring in the youth, because they are on the receiving end of modernization. Are they engaging meaningfully in traditional institutions? And is there a risk of cultural disconnect between the youth today and these traditional institutions?
Yes, I had earlier on indicated that one of the challenges of that the traditional leaders are facing is the issue of lack of participation in traditional leadership by the young people. And some seem to be using education to distance themselves from traditional authority activities, which should not be the case. In traditional authorities, we need educated people, and of course, the Euro-West kind of education that we are promoting, yes, that when you are talking about globalization, is a thing to do. However, we should not forget where we have come from and things that have always kept us together. Thus, with young people, maybe we need to introduce some kind of lessons to enable young people to reflect back in their traditional activities, to participate actively in leadership, and of course to promote the principles of Ubuntu, that which really promote communal benefit, good or communal good for all members of the society, as opposed to the current trend that we are seeing that is promoted by the contemporary education, that of education for personal benefit and personal good. So I think young people need to come and be at the center of activities in terms of promoting culture, values, norms, and attitudes.
What can we expect from the 8th administration under the leadership of President Nandi Ndaitwah? She emphasized during her speech that she plans to empower through various means, including monetary means, the traditional authorities. She also gave an example of the Prime Minister who delivered vehicles to different traditional authority courts or different traditional courts. So they are starting off strong in respect to supporting traditional authorities. What can we expect going forward?
Yes, we are happy with those enabling interventions to make sure that the traditional authorities and the courts are functional. But maybe if we reflect back, I'm not too sure if we'll have those video captions. When the president entered the venue, she was met by the cultural groups, and she was part of it. Yeah. I think I'm speaking under correction. The president has leadership of the entire country, also minding the fact that she seemed to be cut from an empirical code of traditional authority, and that makes her what she is today. That's why her accentuation in promotion of this cohesive relationship between leaders of local authorities and leaders of traditional authorities, as well as the government on the other side.
Another issue that was also spoken about today by the president is the issue on corruption. Corruption, especially when it comes to land under the traditional authority and how it is distributed. We do have some cases before the courts today, or cases which we have seen have been addressed even by Minister Sankwasa himself. So what do we make of this? And I think when I ask this question, I'm also thinking back to the statement that she made, saying that in order for her to be able to assist the nation with, for example, food, land needs to be provided. And if land is under the traditional authority, it needs to be well managed for that to be done successfully.
Yes. To zoom into corruption, maybe I should indicate that corruption has been likened to cancer. And if it is likened to cancer, that means that it is not something pleasant to have closest to you. And we hope that an indaba like this one that will take 5 full days, we will see resolutions that will be coming out of this and coming into the report. And I think they have recruited capable people that will put up a report that will send us which way to go. And our hope is that the deliberation will then target some of those social evils, such as corruption, and what the president has taken a significant amount of time to refer to issues such as suicide that we have been experiencing over the couple of days.
I know we touched on this briefly when we spoke about the aspect of incentives being given to traditional leaders, perhaps being an encouragement. But I also want to really emphasize on the fact that there was a concern from the Minister Sankwasa and President herself on the mushrooming or applications of new traditional authorities. Minister Sankwasa, in fact, even said that these applications are being done in jurisdictions that already have traditional leaders. Apart from the encouraging incentive, perhaps, that we are using as reference, what else is contributing to it and what can be done?
One can only relate this to struggle over power. Maybe that should be one of the cases, because an example was given that members of the same family, each one of them is claiming to be a designated leader of that particular traditional authority. Yes. Now, if that is the route that we take, probably as a result of fight over power and monetary benefits and resources, I think we need to discourage that, using every resources, be it legal resources, so that this should not disrupt the activities of traditional leaders in the areas of their jurisdictions.
Well, Doctor, as we conclude, what do you think should be the key outcomes and takeaways from the 26th meeting of the Council of Traditional Leaders?
Yes, some of the challenges that are highlighted, it seems the speakers have had this in their mind for too long, and fortunately or unfortunately, it seems to be colluding with things that I was looking at. Issues of reduction to poverty, inequality, things like youth unemployment, and then the social evil of abuse of drugs and alcohol, which many of the traditional leaders are dealing with in their communities. And then maybe the last one should then be that of encouraging harmonious living between members of different tribes. I think those are some of the key that I can highlight for now, but there could be more.
Doctor, we appreciate the time that you made for us today.
Thank you very much, Elago, for having me.
All right. Well, that was a conversation with Dr. Matati, and he was talking to us about, or rather reflecting on the opening ceremony of the 26th annual meeting for the Traditional Authority Council. That also brings the conclusion of our broadcast for this afternoon. From myself, Ilago Shitatala, and the team here in Ondangwa, it's goodbye. Yes.